Home Improvement Radio Show. Coming up next time on the program, if your roof starts to leak when the snow starts to melt, you might have ice dams. This happens when you get heavy snow that's followed by warm days that we get so often this time of year, and the snow melts and it leaks back into your house. It's not pretty. There is a solution, though, and guess what? You might not even have to pay for it yourself. We'll tell you what you need to know on the next edition of The Money Pit. I'm Tom Kreitler.
And I'm Leslie Segretti.
Remember, you can do it yourself,
but you don't have to do it alone.
With your latest on news headlines, I'm Jack Gist from the Visionary Rail News Center. Hawaii's minimum wage is increasing January 1st. It'll go up to $10.10 an hour. That benefits more than 50,000 workers across the state. The increase is the final jump under a 2014 law that raises the minimum wage through 2018. And there are future talks of increasing it to $15 an hour through 2021 or $22 per hour through 2022. The County of Maui Department of Transportation said that 2 Maui bus stops along the Wailuku Loop and Wailuku Reverse Loop routes will be temporarily out of service during road resurfacing work being done by the state on High Street in Wailuku. The bus stops will be in service before and after work hours and on non-working days, including weekends and holidays. For all the details, check mauicounty.gov.bus. Island weather, mostly sunny, isolated showers, highs to 81, northeasterly trades 10 to 15 miles an hour. For the Visionary Radio News Center, I'm Jack Gist.
KAOI AM Kihei 1110 and translator K224AG Maui 96.7 FM.
It's 1 o'clock. This is CBS News on the Hour.
I'm Sam Litzinger. New York City's fire commissioner says a stairwell acted like a chimney and quickly spread a deadly fire that was started by a child playing with a stove. He says their 3.5-year-old boy had a history of playing with stove burners. 12 people, including some children, were killed in the Bronx apartment building fire. CBS News correspondent Laura Podesta.
Concerned neighbors and friends are still trying to locate loved ones after Thursday night's devastating fire in the Bronx. Eunice Reed is looking for her neighbor's adult son.
I'm a person who believes in staying positive, so I'm going to say to myself that he's one of the ones who's in the hospital that hasn't been identified. 12
people were killed in the blaze, and another 4 are in critical condition.
Nearly 170 firefighters worked in 15-degree weather to rescue dozens of people. Dangerously cold temperatures across half the country are a threat for some New Year's Eve celebrations. Boston Mayor Martin Walsh is urging people to take precautions.
We're asking people to dress warm with lots of loose layers. We're asking you also to watch out for signs of hypothermia and frostbite. In these very cold conditions, frostbite can happen in as little as 30 minutes.
Bitter temperatures and snow squalls are blamed for several deaths. Parts of the nation are dealing with everything from highway pileups to frozen pipes. President Trump is scheduled to meet with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and House Speaker Paul Ryan next weekend at Camp David. The White House says they'll talk about next year's legislative priorities. CBS News correspondent Mola Lengi of the White House says several administration people have left, meaning big changes ahead for 2018.
CBS News has learned Chief of Staff John Kelly plans to find a senior-level political strategist to oversee Bill Stepien, the current White House political director. 34% of President Trump's senior staff has turned over in his first year. George W. Bush was at 6%, Obama at 9%, and Reagan was the closest to Trump with 17%.
The Washington Post reports that all the remaining members of the Presidential Advisory Council on HIV/AIDS have now been fired. Several had already resigned to protest the Trump administration's position on health policies. It's not clear when or if new members will be appointed. CBS News business reporter John Frierson says 2017 is going into the books as a pretty good year for stocks and stockholders.
Despite some last-minute selling today, all 3 major indexes closed 2017 near their all-time highs. The Dow up 25% this year, the Nasdaq up 28%, the S&P up just under 20%. Best of the Dow in 2017, Boeing, which nearly doubled, while GE was the laggard, down 46%.
On Wall Street today, the Dow dropped 118 points. The Nasdaq fell 47. This is CBS News.
Honesty, integrity, experience. From the people you know and trust. CBS News. Original reporting.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
The results of a hotly disputed election in Virginia are still up in the air, and it's not clear for how much longer.
The winner of the Newport News-based 94th Virginia House District will be chosen by state elections officials January 4th unless a court intervenes. Democratic challenger Shelley Simons has asked a court to reconsider its decision to declare a tie between her and Republican delegate David Yancey. The court awarded a contested ballot to the GOP incumbent. If the Democrat wins, the Virginia House of Delegates would be split. 50 Republicans, 50 Democrats. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
A Utah art teacher will appeal a decision to fire him after his sixth grade student saw nudity in classical paintings. Mateo Reda was fired after police came to investigate a classroom pornography complaint filed over the educational postcards at the elementary school library in Hiram. Prosecutors determined they are not porn. Sam Litzinger, CBS News.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff or management of Visionary-related entertainment.
Aloha Maui Nui. Hey, this is Josh Porter here.
Jason Verkart, how you doing?
This is the Solar Coaster, episode number 34.
34, and it's the end of the year.
It's the end of the year. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you're having a great holiday out there. This is a great kind of fun show concept that we got going here, guys. We're going to be working on a year-end recap today, which is a kind of a new thing, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are doing this these days. It's almost like a clip show, except we've got so much information to regurgitate.
So it was fun. We kind of went through this really cool kind of top 10 thing that we're going to do. And we also had some really interesting news over the week. So we had news regarding community solar. And we've got a great call in from Mellisa Miyahsiro from the Blue Planet Foundation. So we're going to hear from her. And it's going to be a really fun episode number 34 of the Solar Coaster.
Yeah,
so
stick around.
Stoked. Yeah, to get into
Very
it.
cool.
To get into it. So we are the Solar Coaster here. Get some housekeeping out of the way. We're a renewable energy themed talk show right here at KAOI 1110 AM. In lovely Maui County. It can also be heard at 96.7 FM Central Maui, 96.5 FM West Side, 98.7 FM Upcountry. Call-ins are welcome. 808-242-7800. That's 808-242-7800. Do give us a call. Say hi. Let us know what's up and what's going on in your mind.
Yeah, questions, comments on solar or renewables or just the show in general, let us know. You can also find us, of course, at our website, solar-coaster.com. Has new stream, the YouTube video stream. You can come in and actually sit in the studio with us right now. Everybody wave. Hey, there we are. Streaming live. You can get the audio stream there as well, and all our past shows. And that's the real draw. Is you got all these previous shows that have tons and tons of content. 34 shows now.
34 shows
that are all chocked full of interesting information. If you're into renewable energy at all, go check it out.
Yeah. There's some pretty good content there. You know, we were going over it ourselves to get the show together, and we kind of were like, oh, yeah, I remember that thing, you know? So we are sponsored by a great stable of companies, Maui Solar Project, Tabuchi Electric America, Sonnen Battery, and Pika Energy. So
thank you
so
sponsors.
Much.
Do appreciate
you kept us going. Kept us going. And we can be found on iTunes and various podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn are carrying the shows right now, and we're getting a little bit of feedback here or there. We get a like here or there, a share here or there.
It's always
comment,
nice to see
right?
that somebody actually did. If you do watch the show, you do like the content, please press the button so we can know that you're out there.
Yeah, and then we're getting some reviews and things of that nature as well too, which is really fun. So something new very shortly. Whoa, the news. We're right on the news.
We're on the news.
Okay, so we got a cool news and events section today. That's our news music right there.
Yep.
We're gonna jump right into that and get started. We're actually gonna get our call in the news section, right?
Right.
So let's chat a little bit about what's going on. We got gems. What's going on with gems these days?
First of all, define GEMS. You were talking to me about it before the show.
Yeah.
It is the Green Energy Market Securitization, or GEMS program.
Yeah, so GEMS...
What does that mean?
Well, jeez, I don't know. GEMS is basically a financing program that was supposed to be really great, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was provided and subsidized in some way by the state. And we, as an installer, we knew we had this great kind of 20-year lending program with very low dealer fees, very reasonable interest rates. But GEMS was very difficult to apply from a practical perspective, right? So, I think it would, when I think about it, I found it to be just difficult to get people through the system at the end of the day.
Right.
And so GEMS has had some changes to it. Effectively, we're seeing some redirection of that money, or some potentially shutting that down, right?
Yeah. I mean, basically, redirects money generated from the repayment of loans issued by the to reduce the loan amount available to residential and commercial, so both residential and commercial customers.
Yeah, so there's like a $150 million clean energy loan program. Things are changing with GEMS. Not surprised to see that happen.
Well, if it's difficult to work with, they're going to restructure it to make it better.
And they're talking about their costs of running that program were in the millions, right? Gotcha.
Okay.
Wait.
Yeah, we have a caller.
Oh my goodness, we got a caller. Okay, let's take it. We got to prioritize this.
Absolutely. So a caller has a question about net metering. Let's hear from them. How you doing? You're on the Solar Coaster.
Hey, how you doing this morning?
All right.
Afternoon, actually.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling in. What can we? What kind of question do you have?
Thanks for basically, I just bought another house. I had a house. I had solar on it, and I had net energy metering, and they paid for 50%. I had the 50%. Obama when he was there, I guess, had that thing where
the tax credit.
Tax credit, 50%.
Right.
Now, is that now what I bought this house? Is it worth doing it again? Do I get the 50% tax credit?
You're in the same boat that I am. Yeah, you're in the same boat that I am. So the word on the street is you can, if you replace the system, you can again take the tax credit, which is a big positive. You are a true NEM customer. You sure about that? Because that's the good one, where you're actually getting a retail rate for energy produced.
No, I was in net energy metering.
Oh, okay.
On my old house.
Okay,
so what I heard here was that you had an old house, you had NEM, you bought a new house, and you're wondering if you should put solar on it again. Is that right?
Right. Do I still get the 50% and just still get net energy metering?
And you're living here in Maui County, is that right? You're in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So basically, and just to give the necessary caveat here, we are not tax professionals and we can't legally give tax advice. That being said, there is the 30% federal ITC, or the investment tax credit.
50%.
Well, it's 30% on the federal side, and it's 35% on the state side. So but 35% on the state side with a caveat, right? That caveat is that it is capped based on system size. So the bottom line is you will probably end up with about 50%, which is what you're talking about. And the answer to your question is, thankfully, it hasn't changed yet. So you're in solid shape as far as the tax credits are concerned. And I would definitely encourage you to consider getting a solar system.
And if you do, make sure it has a battery, because there's no point in doing solar without batteries at this point.
Yeah, I didn't have the battery in the last one. So the net energy metering has gone away then?
So NEM itself, that particular utility program it's fully subscribed. That program is over. There's a handful of new programs in the docket right now. It's ready to be released. They're called CGS Plus, CSS, and Smart Export. Those are the three new programs that are kind of pending at the moment. And CGS Plus is one that you can do without batteries, but the actual kind of parameters of it with the utility haven't been really clearly articulated. CSS you can do pretty much right now, and that's solar with batteries, right? And that's what most people are kind of entertaining at the moment. Smart Export is a program that's pending, and that program kind of takes CSS to the next level, saying you can export and get compensated from the grid with your batteries.
But with the battery, it doesn't make it necessary anyway if you get the battery.
What's the question?
So if you get the battery, that energy metering is not going to matter, basically.
Exactly right. So it's an alternative to working with NEM, right? And you're effectively producing energy, using energy, as opposed to NEM where you would be backfading and getting credits. Now you're managing that energy yourself with your own energy storage system.
How much are those batteries now? Are they getting cheaper?
They are getting cheaper, and at the tail end of the show, we're going to touch base on what we expect to happen in 2018 with pricing. So I'd encourage you to listen in through that. But we have seen price declines. A lot of that has to do with the electric vehicle market because there's so much this kind of burgeoning electric vehicle market where energy storage prices are coming down. So, but the installation costs of these are significant. When you put these in, you want to be able to put in PV, solar, and the batteries at the same time, so you can take more tax credits on as much as possible. That you got to check with your accountant on. So hey, I really appreciate.
Do you suggest a solar water heater as well?
Always.
Yeah.
I mean, almost
if
across
you
the
don't
board.
have it now, you want it.
Yeah, there are very few scenarios where getting a solar hot water heater is not the first step, and the ones that it is not the first step is when you have such a small amount of hot water use that maybe an on-demand might make more sense, right?
Sure.
But that's really kind of like the guy that takes it's like it doesn't use much hot water.
Yeah, that's a shack somewhere. If you live in the house, you're gonna want it.
Hey, I really appreciate the call.
No problem. One more thing, real quick, and then I'll get off. Sorry,
no worries.
But
we're here for you.
If I get the battery, does that mean I can get off the grid completely?
Grid defection.
Okay, yeah, we were talking about this morning. You can. The issue there is that you give up a little bit. I mean, the security of being connected to the grid. If you already have a grid connection, I don't think I would give it up.
No.
For 99% of the time,
you just pay the minimum, whatever, $19 a month.
Yeah, my bill is.
Here's the thing:
like
it is technically, theoretically possible to grid defect. You could do that, but I think that the people that will do that are few and far between right now, just based on costing. Costing is changing, so I know people could actually afford to do that. Some people that I know could be like, yeah, I'll do it, right? Yep. But it is a big investment because the infrastructure you need, the type of technical infrastructure you need to do that, is just kind of very robust, right? A technology that would allow you to actually grid defect right now, or kind of step in that direction, would be something like the Radiant inverter and the Blue Ion 2.0 from Blue Planet Energy. And we're actually going to get a call in from Blue Planet today. So that's a technology that's robust enough to fully grid defect at the end of the day.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for the call. We appreciate it.
Wow, very
that's
cool.
Great. I love getting calls.
Yeah.
That's neat. So we're going to flow right through this quickly with our news and events. So GEMS we covered.
Yep. Hawaii claiming almost $100 million in tax credits. This is actually data from 2015, but $100 million claimed in those tax credits that he was just talking about. This is just the state side.
Right. That's just what the caller I was asking about.
32.4% of all tax credits distributed by the state. That's just huge.
Yeah. So people are utilizing this tax credit. That's that 35% capped under certain sizes for different types of renewable energy systems, and effectively. But one of the things that was in this article, I encourage you to take a look at it. It's Pacific Business News. Marco Mangelsdorf, we hear about him a lot from the Big Island. He's an installer. He's talking about, people may view this as a negative because those are lost revenue, tax revenue, right? But in actuality, there's a tremendous value in there. And he says the installation of hundreds of megawatts of installed solar capacity has reduced the importation of fossil fuels, of course, by millions of gallons for a state that uses more oil in our power plants than the entire rest of the country.
Yep. Well, we're all diesel. So
I think that's good. I think that's a good thing.
There's a lot of coal on mainland. We don't have coal.
And just before we move out of this one, I thought one of the other things that was interesting in this article that Hawaii has the third largest solar capacity per capita in the U.S. Okay, I knew that, but I never heard it this way, with 472 watts per person.
Yep.
So each of us has 472 watts of solar.
Yay.
Yay. Okay. So let's move into our big kind of focus in the news here, the community solar. This is a big deal, right? We got some amazing stuff going on. There's an article, they're all over the web. Basically, the community solar program from the PUC was kind of authorized, right? And there's one in Civil Beat from 12, the 12th, I think. Will renters soon power their apartments with solar? But this is much bigger than that question, Effectively, people that may not have access to being able to put in solar or miss some of these programs, they're now going to have access to this community solar program. The community, they call it the what is it again? The CB, what is it again, Jonah? The CRB? CBRE?
CBRE.
CBRE is the acronym, right? So this notion has been floating around with around Hawaii for probably 5 or 6 years. And one of the primary architects of this is the Blue Planet Foundation, Hank Rogers Blue Planet Foundation. And we actually are fortunate enough to have a call-in from Mellisa Miyahsiro, I hope I pronounced that correctly, to hear all about community solar, and we're super excited about this.
Mellisa, you there?
I'm here, yes. Hello.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for calling in.
Hey, aloha, Mellisa.
Aloha.
So, Mellisa, thank you so much for calling in. You know, the Solar Coaster is basically a program that's we have a solar-focused kind of talk show going every week here in Maui County, and we cover all kinds of tech and community-oriented content areas. And when we saw what was going on with community solar, we get really excited because this discussion's been going on for a while, right?
Right.
Yeah, this is a big deal, and this has been a priority for Blue Planet Foundation for over half a decade. So we've been advocating for this since at least 2013. So
Wow.
It's exciting to see it finally getting off the ground.
Nice work, and thank you to everybody out there for all your hard work on that. I know this is something that has been, long in coming, and so can you give us a sense of what this is? Just kind of because I think people hear it, even in the solar industry, we say it and we kind of go, I don't even know what that really means sometimes.
Right.
So can you give us a sense for what community solar is all about and kind of how it got started and how we got to this place here?
Yeah, so community solar, it's often referred to as, shared renewables, but it's essentially, we like to think of it as like a solar garden. So for individuals that don't have single-family homes or don't have a suitable roof, live in condos, are renters, which we estimate to be about 50% of the folks in Hawaii, up until now, these folks haven't been able to participate in renewable energy. So the general idea is that customers can now subscribe. So the commission did outline, they did set that rate, and they've done that. That's part of kind of the guiding principles that they gave to the utility to implement this program. So the way that the commission has structured it is in 2 phases. So the first phase is really a trial phase. It's somewhat limited, more limited than we had wanted to see as Blue Planet Foundation, but it's capped at 8 megawatts, and they have fixed credit rates for that, and it varies by island. So it doesn't vary by time of day, which is something that the Commission wants to see in Phase 2. So the credit rates for Oahu, it's 15 cents. For both Maui and Hawaii Island. For Hawaii Island, it's 15 cents, and then Maui 16.5.
16.5, and that's a credit. So that's not the tariff rate like for what you pay for energy. That's a credit that you would get for the solar that's being produced. Is that correct?
Correct.
Gotcha.
And these rates were designed to be kind of comparable to other existing programs that are out there.
Okay, so there's some method of being able to gain ownership or participation in this particular physical solar farm that's on your sector, right? And then you are able to gain credits for your proportioned area in the amount of 16.5 cents for Maui. And then there'd be some kind of an accounting theoretically.
Well, you take your 33 cents and subtract the 16.5, and you
there you
come
go
up with the rate.
And then you have some form of a reduced bill. Does that sound about right, Mellisa? Yeah.
Yeah. And again, kind of the specific details are forthcoming, but that's the gist of it.
Gotcha. Okay, that actually helps me get my head around a little bit better. Yep. So, and then what I also noticed, which I thought was interesting, is that there was this discussion about the utilities' ownership of those systems that will be developed. So we've got, is it 72 megawatts in total over the 3 phases? Is that correct?
So 8 in Phase 1 and 64 in Phase 2.
Got it. Okay, and Phase 3 is not defined yet, or something?
No, just the 2 phases. So again, Phase 1 is kind of the trial period, and the Commission will be reviewing, gauging lessons learned to inform more specifics about Phase 2.
Right, and then so I noticed that it said, I guess this article here, HECO can't develop community solar farms during the program's first year-long phase, right? And the idea, the order says, is to develop a market of private energy producers to supplement the electricity produced by Hawaii Solar Power Monopoly. This is right out of that article. So do you see this being an opportunity for developers to come in and actually create these solar farms on these specific sectors?
Yeah, absolutely. And this non-utility participation is something that Blue Planet had advocated for. as part of this
Nice
proceeding. So we were really happy to see that piece. And I think that's the right approach to kind of get this thing off the ground in phase one, is to really to develop that market. Because that's ultimately what we want to see, and what will determine the success of the program is, our people, our developers wanting to develop these projects, and our people wanting to participate.
That's very exciting. It's great work, and we're so I really can't say thank you enough for the work that Blue Planet Foundation has done. And you guys have been involved in so much in the kind of implementation of the renewable energy, ramp up really over the last decade. We learned a little bit from some other friends of ours that are familiar with you guys. It says that 2,500 customers. On that first phase first phase limited to 8 megawatts, or about 2,500 customers. That could be very interesting to see those first 2,500 customers figure out this is something they want to do, sign on, and then go through the process of having it developed and implemented.
It'll definitely be the early adopter folks.
Yeah.
But they're going to shape the future for all renters in the state.
Yeah, it's amazing. And
if you're interested in this, look up the program, participate. It'll be worth it.
Very cool. Very cool. So we're about 60 days out, Mellisa. And then is there anything else that you would want to share about this to help us, maybe our listeners, gain better clarity on this program?
I think we covered the basics. It would be good to, kind of keep folks informed and kind of stay tuned as the details develop. So this is really kind of just phase one and step one, and the program will be evolving. And I think long term, the PUC is really looking at ways to align community renewables with kind of the broader goals of supporting the grid. But those will all be in phase two. But this has a real potential to be very synergistic with, this grid of the future and the utility of the future that we're all kind of looking ahead towards.
Absolutely.
And one question, I don't know if you even know this or not, is storage part of these installations?
Good question, yeah.
Yeah, they could be. So in phase one, the technology is limited to solar PV. Mm-hmm. But in phase two, there are different classifications of facilities. Right. So there's actually a category in phase two called peaker, community-based renewable energy. Oh, wow. And those facilities, there's an allotment for a number of facilities that have to capacity that has to meet that requirement, but they have to deliver 85% of their production during non-peak hours.
Wow, nice. Yeah,
or on-peak hours.
That's
5
very
p.m.
cool.
to 10 p.m.
Right. Whoa. Yeah, I'm thinking of at the Kauai installation that they just turned on. They obviously rolled out a whole lot of solar, but also the storage to support it during non-production time,
right?
Which is going to be a concern.
And apparently, there's going to be a Kauai version of this as well for the cooperative out there.
Right.
Randy Iwase mentioned that, I think, in this article.
Nice.
So, one last question, Mellisa: is there precedent for this, or is this kind of the first time this has happened in this way? I saw some, nodes of conversations about community solar around the world. How groundbreaking is this in terms of what's going on in the nation or the globe?
Well, this is gained traction all over the nation, and Hawaii's a little bit kind of late to the game now. So Minnesota has a pretty robust program, and theirs was actually founded or established by legislation the same year as Hawaii's, so in 2015. But they're a little farther along in the process. We took a little bit longer. But then Colorado also has a emerging strong program. So this is happening other places. So Hawaii's, finally in the game.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. It's really been great to hear directly from the architects of this program about how this operates. We really look forward to covering this in the upcoming period of time, for sure, throughout 2018. Would you like to give a plug for the Blue Planet Foundation? You want to say anything about your organization?
Yeah, just that we, are always trying to help Hawaii get to 100% clean energy faster. And, we're a mission-driven nonprofit. We're based in Honolulu. We're a small staff of 10 of really passionate, creative people. And folks can learn more at blueplanetfoundation.org.
Absolutely. So go check them out at blueplanetfoundation.org. Thank you again so much, Mellisa, for the call.
Yeah, stick with us, Mellisa. We'll revisit this in 60 days.
All righty. All right.
Sounds good. Thanks so
Thank you much.
All
Really
right.
do appreciate it.
Happy New Year. Bye now.
All right. So we'll do some commercials, and then we'll be back with our year in review.
All right.
Aloha, and welcome to Maui Solar Project. It is easy to feel rejuvenated just stepping outside on a magnificent Hawaiian day. Maui Solar Project is here to help harness that energy you feel in your body and use it to power your homes and businesses. As lore tells us, Maui harnessed the sun so as to slow its path across the sky. Join Maui Solar Project as we harness the sun's energy and slow Hawaii's dependence on fossil fuels. Call Maui Solar Project at 269-2352. MauiSolarProject.org.
Tabuchi Electric, a leading worldwide inverter manufacturer, presents the second generation of the eco-intelligent battery system, the IBIS. Tabuchi's grid-friendly system includes a high-efficiency inverter, stackable batteries, and integration with Jelly software for the most adaptable battery storage system on the market. The system is optimized for energy management and cost performance. Maximize your solar investment with Tabuchi's electric eco-intelligent battery system.
The Sonnen Battery Eco is an energy storage solution that utilizes intelligent energy management software. The system is available in a variety of storage capacities and allows for expansion. Sonnen Battery Eco allows you to save money by harvesting energy from your solar PV system and using that stored energy when rates are more expensive. Sonnen Battery Eco is specifically designed to provide you and your family peace of mind in the event of power outage. Our unique power detection system will sense outages in real time and automatically switch over to battery power. See Sonnen Battery Eco at sonnen-battery.com.
MIT founded Pika Energy, makers of the Pika Energy Island, a smart energy management system that uses solar panels, lithium batteries, and intelligence to manage your energy and keep you powered even during outages. With a clean, intelligent alternative to grid power, you're in control of your energy future. Pika's Energy Island lets you manage electrical costs with HECO-ready self-supply functions. Pika's largest battery, the Harbor Plus, offers 16 kilowatt hours of stored energy and can power loads of up to 10 kilowatts. And if you need more capacity, just add a second or even third Harbor Smart battery to the same system for a maximum of 48 kilowatt hours of usable storage. Pika Energy, own your power. To learn more, visit pika-energy.com.
All right, our great sponsorship group of companies. These guys keep us on the air. Thank you again for your support, and you've gotten us through 2017.
Yeah, an entire year. Yay!
Give it to you,
Well done. Well
Thanks,
done.
guys. We really appreciate it. So we had a cool year, Jay. It was really an interesting experience. Neither of us hosted a radio show before.
Yep, started from zero.
Right, and we got 34 shows under our belt. So, and we kind of no end in sight right now. We got some great shows planned for 2018. We got a roster of amazing guests coming up.
Yep.
Right.
Honestly, the list keeps growing. Just this morning, we came up with a whole nother topic for another show.
Good stuff, and really, we're meeting some remarkable people. So, when we were talking about this with Jonah today, or yesterday as well, we were like, what would be a good way to wrap up the show for the end of the year? And we were like, let's do a year in review. I think that was your suggestion, Jay.
Yeah.
And
it's pretty common to hear people doing this time of year.
Yeah.
But it's really, really appropriate in this setting where we have so much information coming at you so fast. Let's take a second to look at where we've been, and then we can turn around and say, what does 2018 look like?
And there have been so many great guests over the course of 6 months or 9 months or however long it's been. So they've said some really cool things, so we'd like to share them with you.
That is what this is all about. So here's our segment, the coolest quotes and things we've heard throughout the year.
So let's start out with number 10. We're gonna go from
number 10. It's a 10. It's a top 10
10
list.
countdown, right? So let's do number 10. So number 10, I'll do number 10. Okay. So Tabuchi, the owner and the president of the company, Harumi-san, right? Episode 19. We learned the lesson about the dangers of too rapid growth of solar because of the earthquake disaster in Fukushima. She said in our interview in SPI.
Yeah,
right?
This was a really honest and heartfelt conversation. They were talking about what had happened there, how they want to share what they've learned with the people in Hawaii. They've developed their product specifically to combat some of these problems that they really ran into. But like I said, it was very legit. You get a sense of these people really wanting to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And it was so impactful for me.
Yeah, I remember hearing that and really feeling that was heartfelt, right?
Yeah.
And also, we both have experience in Japan. So, when Fukushima happened, there was a complete summary shutdown of all nuclear power.
Right.
And this is a nation that has, I think, the most nuclear power per capita in the world.
Yep.
And so and all of a sudden there's a major energy shortage.
Yep.
And people are conserving. All the air conditioning units and buildings are shut down.
People came together. Air conditioning shut down. I went shortly after,
Yeah.
And you go into department stores and half the lights are off. The escalators
Unheard
are
of
shut
in
down.
Japan,
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. And everything was, so everybody was conserving. I think the only place you could find air conditioning was in your car. so I did see some people
did that.
idling on the side of the street just to get some relief in the middle of summer.
But apparently there was somewhat of a solar expansion during that period. I'm not familiar with the numbers on that, but that could be a the consequence of very quickly deploying a lot of solar to a grid that's not ready for it can be problematic. As you know, we've been over a 10-year period, we've gotten up towards 25% adoption rate of solar and 35% renewables, and in general, and something like that. And so we know what it's like to have that destabilization of the grid. So apparently there was a similar experience in Japan, and Harumi-san was speaking to that in that quote from back in Vegas in SBI.
Yep, really, really important. Same thing. We saw the same kind of information coming out of Germany as well. They had a massive growth of solar. And actually, the next quote, number 9 from Sonnen Battery, is if you go to the German website, it shows a live update of the power that is being transferred in real time. Now, this is really cool because they've now kind of surmounted their rapid growth of solar issues and have created this whole virtual, what they call the VPP, the virtual power plant experience, where you are a producer of energy, you store your energy in the Sonnen battery system, and then you're allowed to put it out on a marketplace.
Yeah.
Online and share your power or sell your power. I think it is a buy and sell situation, but it's all what they call blockchain architecture, which is the massively distributed. You're familiar with Bitcoin. That's that same thing. But the word blockchain really is a much more broader sense of an internet that is distributed across everything. So it's no longer like I have one copy of a Word document, and if I want you to edit it, I send it to you, but then I have to wait because you're going to change something. I can't change anything else because when you send me a new copy back, it's going to erase all my changes.
Is this what that term means?
This is what the blockchain actually is.
Oh, no
so when you're when
like
you're
a
talking
Google sheet.
Essentially Google Sheets is built on blockchain architecture.
I would have finally understood
I'm getting
what we're
there.
talking about.
Relax. I'm getting there.
Now I'm starting to understand.
That's all it is. It's this massively distributed system. But then all those changes and things can be validated because they come from, they're time stamped. They come from a single node. They're propagated. If you want to check and see if this change is valid, then you actually check with other nodes in the network and compare the changes in the timestamps, validate that transaction will actually happen, and then you can update the change and be sure that it's right. But then the hackers can't get in and change one copy because it would be invalidated immediately.
What I'm hearing is kind of like to simplify this in layman's language, it's kind of like there's like a lot of redundancy here.
Right.
Okay.
Massive redundancy.
Massive redundancy.
Millions of systems.
VPP is this really kind of exciting language. The virtual power plant is the language we hear in the industry, right? Yeah. And Sonnen definitely has kind of done a lot of the cutting edge work on that. Right. So they've got it deployed in Germany. There's a lot going on there. And then there's this quote. I know that Jonah's dying to say this one right here, right?
Yeah, this is 9 Baker. Go.
Honing the edge of the tip of the spear of the battery industry.
That's Greg Smith. Greg the Wordsmith Smith.
Yeah, there you go.
Got the language.
A good one.
He was really good at it.
From Sonnen.
As well.
Yeah.
Fantastic guy. And that's really what they're doing. I mean, when you talk about bleeding edge, I mean, they're beyond it.
Absolutely.
Haven't been touched by it yet.
Well, and let's give Jonah a shot here at number 8.
Should we do number 8?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, this one came from the VP of Engineering at Blue Planet, Kyle Bolger, and he said, just like the fuel gauge in your car, you don't have to call your mechanic to figure out if your fuel tank is full or empty. We have a huge level of clarity.
That's Kyle Bolger, real smart guy. That was a cool episode. For me, that was really just a matter of, hey, there's a lot of some of these systems can be very complex, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And but if you think about it, with our cars, they're complex machines, but we don't need to know how everything works inside that car.
Most people don't. You turn key, start driving.
There's an analog signal that tells us, is our battery full or is our car tank full?
Right.
It's very easy to visually understand how much energy is in our car.
And we're acquainted with that.
And so what Kyle's talking about here is creating that same visual stimulus that you can really quickly understand how much energy is in your battery.
Yeah. And that's where I think we're going to have these systems move towards, right? They need to be easy to use, easy to understand, They need to work consistently. We can't, it's got to be, and we like the idea of these kind of systems where everything kind of comes from one company too.
Yeah, and those are always the best right now, where it's this kind of integrated ecosystem. You have the battery, you have the inverters. They all, because there's no barriers to the engineers talking from one company to another. They're all on the same team. They can really integrate these nice and tight. But the thing is, exactly what he was talking about. These systems need to be really transparent. Like the Tabuchi one has that little panel that sits on your wall. You can literally watch the little lines
There's like
flow
a green
in
light
and out.
and a red light.
Yeah,
you're optimizing or you're not.
Right,
Like,
you are, you aren't. And the same thing. You don't want these meters on the battery itself, because most people put them in the garage or, or outside or somewhere else. I'm not going to walk out to the garage to figure out what the system's doing. I'd love to have one on my wall.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about having it on my phone, but
I like it on my phone.
Okay, well,
that's pretty interesting. You can check your phone to see how much energy you have in your battery.
I would like it. I would like it on my phone if I could. I would like it
works.
on my phone if I could push the button and say turn off energy to my kid's video game thing.
There.
Go do homework.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Fully manageable from your mobile device.
Yeah, exactly that.
But just to cap that off with Blue Ion, and then we're trying to move fast. But a really remarkable technology. Modular in nature. So having a good clarity on how your battery's operating and how it's working, not only in a given moment with that gauge concept, but also over time allows for that information to be there. And you go, hey, do I need more solar? Do I need more battery? Am I good where I'm at? The transparency there, I think these guys are making a lot of progress on. And you've got a system that is basically it's on grid, but it's basically off grid technology. They're using the Outback radiant inverters, super robust technology. We just mentioned that to the caller a moment ago. So if you want to cut the cord, that's the kind of technology that lets you do that. So you can actually kind of like go one step. Do I like being off grid? Do I want to be on grid? I'm not sure. Let me see.
Push the button, pull that knife switch, and then and wait a week, see what you think.
But that's the type of system that'll be able to get you there to be able to accomplish that.
Right.
Yeah.
There's very few of those right now. Most of them.
It's kind of one of the only ones that I'm really comfortable with at the moment. So let's go to number 7. What do you say, gentlemen?
Okay.
Is this so 7? This is really cool. This was the one system for episode number 27. David Chang from LG Electronics says, as LG Electronics, we are working on an energy storage solution. It's going to involve LG Chem's batteries, inverter, and PCS will be manufactured by LG Electronics. We'll have an integrated solution.
Okay, there's a little investigative journalism, I think, on my part.
You uncovered a scoop,
the question.
buddy.
It was pretty obvious. They've got this one hole in their product line, and they cannot not be aware. They're going to be looking at it. But again, these are those systems that we like, that are tightly integrated, that really have a massive amount of optimization. The only way to get that right now is to buy a full set. You can't buy the battery from LG Chem and buy inverters from Enphase and expect them to talk to each other at any reasonable level. I mean, you could probably make it work, but it's not. But it's not going to be optimal in any sense.
Well, I mean, what I found really interesting about this is that LG Electronics, they make the PV, right?
Yep.
LG Chem makes the batteries.
Yep.
So LG Electronics, there's 2 separate companies, but they're basically sister companies, right, under one umbrella.
Correct.
LG Electronics makes a market dominant solar panel.
Yep.
The LG Neon R, right, with the backside plate, the zero, metal paste on the front, 100% silicon real estate being absorbing photons, creating boatloads of electrons moving and all the juice. You get 370 watts. He mentioned.
Yep. That's an awesome panel.
That's kind of the Ferrari right now, right?
Yeah.
It's for lack of a better, Americans love car analogies, right?
Yeah.
So and then on the storage side of the fence, you got the LG Chem 10H Resu that's out here, and it's a pretty dominant storage system in terms of price, performance, warranties, a lot of the characteristics. LG Chem is a proper chemical company.
Yeah.
They make the batteries. They don't go, hey, can I get a battery? And then
they're not licensing them from anybody else. They come out of LG.
So you got kind of these 2 dominant technologies. When I think about the system, I think of it like physically where it's at in the house, up on the roof and maybe in the garage. But there's something in the middle between that, and that's or something alongside of that, I should say, depending on how the system is made, and that's the inverter, right?
Yep.
And so it's like, well, why don't you guys make an inverter? And Jay pulls that out, and they're like, should we say it?
Yeah, might as well.
And they did. So
they might as well make an inverter. They might as well say it, and it might be here next year. No, we don't.
Yeah, I'm excited about that because you could have a real serious player. And I'm going to have to say my favorite little phrase here. You got these great company, but then it's one neck to choke.
There you go. You
right?
you like that a lot. There's only one phone number you need to know, and
as an
to
installer, you're used to that, right?
Right,
So
right.
Well, not only that, but the individual products should talk to each other really well because they're coming from the same company.
Absolutely, absolutely. So very cool stuff there. Back in episode 27, number 6.
Okay, number 6 from Solar Edge. It's the first ever PV inverter with an integrated EV charger. It's kind of cool because it gives you really fast level 2 charge. It's the fastest level 2 charger on the market, and you can run your car on sunshine.
Wow.
That's the first time that you could get a really good integrated level 2, and we went nuts when we saw this at InterSolar, because it's just, I mean, there's a thing that happens when you do inversion. We talked about this before on other shows, where you're pulling that energy off your roof and it's DC. We'll just have to do a show on explaining that, but it comes out in DC. It comes in a certain form. It's DC, and you actually invert it to AC to charge something. Or run your house, even if you don't have a local battery in your house, and then back to DC again. So you have another DC charger to charge the car. Yeah. So there's losses there, and the more times you do, I mean, most situations you end up with like double-digit losses.
Yeah, not small, like 10+% losses, which just means that whatever size array you have is effectively 10% smaller, right?
Right. You could do it 10% smaller, or you can get 10% more energy. Either way, but to be able to piggyback the charger right in the inverter allows them to go straight DC to DC. You don't have those losses. Not only that, they can push a lot more power just straight through, and so it's a fast charger. It was really, really cool to see.
Very cool. You can power.
It's also got one of those things on the wall where you can watch the car charge.
Oh yeah,
which was really neat.
Well, and just as a small talking point here, it's from Lior Handelsman, a really nice fella and very smart. And I thought it was kind of the way Solar Edge rolls, right? Mm-hmm. We were just getting into the mindset of how EVs and renewables were about to kind of
collide,
tectonic mountain building kind of crash, you know. And they were right there.
Yeah.
To take it, and I would say that was the show stealer right there. That was the one that everyone was talking about. I mean, we saw it all over the web after InterSolar. I think it was in June or July we were there. Mm-hmm. In San Francisco, and that was it's just looks super cool too. Their booth had like a little car front, like a little bug, a Volkswagen Bug.
Yeah, it was just like a quarter panel of a car with the plug sticking out of it. It was really neat. On that panel that they had on the wall, there was a button, and it says green. It was a nice green button, and it said solar only, which means that's the true red driving on sunshine button.
Running your car on sunshine.
And I know some people that would be all over that.
Oh yeah,
they would be like, I totally changed their lives around the charging time frame of their car. I got to be home from 10 to 3 every day to charge my car.
To make sure it's charged. It's fine. Well, I mean, generally speaking, the island isn't that large. So, I mean, you can charge your car and drive a couple times just as long as you're home one of those days.
Right. Okay, so that's number 6. Very cool from Solar Edge. How about we look at number 5?
Okay, I'll do this one. We got Doug McLeod, the former Renewable Energy Commissioner of Maui County, and he said, "We're scared of ending up like Germany. We don't want to have here in Hawaii. What we don't want to have here in Hawaii is we spend all this money on something called renewable energy, and what if that
wasn't dealing with climate change
what
issues
if
at
that
all?
wasn't dealing with climate change issues at all?
That's a mouthful, that sentence.
It is.
There,
yeah,
right?
it really is. But it's seriously deep. When we're talking about, so of course, just talking about Germany, not the influx of solar specifically, but shutting down all the nuclear plants.
So you have this major expansion of solar. You have a shutdown of the nuclear plants, and then you also have a adherence to the Kyoto Protocol. Right. And so what apparently what happened was there were some major issues with the amount of CO2 that being emitted, right? Because they had to make up that difference with different kinds of energy gen. So, the concern here, and Doug had said this at the tail end of this conversation, is he's like, Josh, do you really have a good sense for what the word renewables mean? Because renewables could be like, burning like bagasse and then creating a whole bunch of CO2 in the air, right?
Right. Well, that was the issue. And it's like just changing the form of energy generation doesn't necessarily reduce your overall carbon footprint. And just because solar we need to know where these panels are being manufactured, how they're being manufactured, if those factories that are cranking out, and what happens when we recycle them.
But I mean, from a solar panel perspective, I think we had a pretty good
solar panel's pretty
that
good, but it's a bad example. But what about all these car batteries? In 10 years, we're going to find out really, really hard
batteries,
what's going on.
That's going to be
how do we recycle those batteries?
Right. What happens? We just made another environmental disaster trying to be green.
But and then Doug also is the chair of the Maui Renewable Energy Conference, which is a remarkable conference we have here every year. It's in March, and the main topic of that conference this year is about decarbonization.
Yep.
So you're going to be addressing that issue head on. We're going to look forward to covering that with the solar coaster. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's jump right on. Number 4. Is it my turn, guys?
Sure.
Eco Ship. Oh my goodness, this was just last week, right? Episode number 33. Yoshioka-san, Yoshioka Tatsuya-san. Already in marine transportation, CO2 production is quite huge. The same as Germany. Germany keeps coming up, right? A whole country production of CO2, it's the same. So literally, the marine industry, the shipping industry, the amount of CO2 that is emitted, and the types of CO2 is particularly kind of noxious as well. Like the particulates and the sulfur and the NOx.
Yeah,
and all
heavy fuel.
All that stuff is actually the same as a full country. Right, so it's pretty substantial. EcoShip has taken a stab at trying to come up with a solution to kind of model for the shipping industry. Take a stab at that. 17% of all global
was the number
CO2 emissions.
Grew up,
from the shipping industry.
Yeah,
that's a lot of CO2.
All right. So number 3, we're running out of time. We're gonna go fast. Pika. The Tesla dishwasher is the first thing that we'll be integrating. What? No, it was a joke. They're really looking at, this is in reference to the Rebus technology, which is DC to DC appliances and data to allow those appliances to talk to each other. So you can literally have a refrigerator and a dryer and things, and they know when there's excess energy and they would use it appropriate. Like you can freeze your freezer more when there's excess energy, and that itself is a method of storage because it won't have to kick on in the middle of the night because you used your solar during the day to freeze it. They also said that they also communicated that Bosch is working really, really hard in collaboration with Pika to create a DC nanogrid for lighting in homes.
That's the first
this actually speaks
DC
to me.
appliance
Yeah,
stuff.
this actually speaks to me because the people that built my house in their infinite wisdom put DC 12 volts lighting all over the place, but each lighting fixture has its own stupid little transformer, and they're up there generating heat and are really obnoxious. So I'd love to have a little nanogrid. A nanogrid is just like, it doesn't extend beyond your walls. But it's a different voltage. It's not your normal outlet. You know,
it took me a while to get a sense for how relevant the whole DC-AC conversation is. We're going to jump into that shortly, but the bottom line is that you're able to generate in DC, store in DC, consume in DC, and eliminate the losses. So this is starting that conversation. They're saying this is right around the corner. A lighting solution to integrate to their DC Rebus to create that nanogrid is happening right about now. So and then right down the list, all the other potential appliances. So this is some pretty remarkable stuff. Let's jump right into number 2.
Yep.
I have this beautiful garden of smart technology growing in my home, and I'm still trying to water it with a fire hose.
That was Brian Patterson from Emerge Alliance. I love that quote because it makes so much sense to me. He told me there's like 500 devices. He counted little smart devices. He's got a relatively intelligent smart home. And he's only got 32 outlets. They're all AC. But all the devices run on 5 volts or less. Most of them, all those devices that you have, like your mobile phone, actually run on less than 5 volts. It takes 5 volts to charge it, but it's actually stepping that down again to 3.3 or 1.8 volts internally. So they're very low voltage things. You do not need 120 volts AC to power any of this at 15 amps. I mean, it's a huge amount of power in those outlets. But really, really lovely quote.
So there's Brian Patterson of Emerge Alliance, and this organization is basically talking about and kind of a lobbying for the hybridization of the grid. And this is related to what we were just talking about before with Pika. These guys are really on the forefront.
Right.
And so the notion here, where Brian's kind of in the policy side and then Pika's kind of in the implementation side and the design and engineering side. And what Brian's talking about here is, hey, you've got this 100, what is it? We got this AC coming in that's like a fire hose effectively. It's all this power, and then your devices want to consume low voltage DC.
Yeah.
And you've got all of the more things we populate in our houses, all these different monitors and smart devices and computers. There's how many 11 billion computing devices connected to the internet right now.
Yep.
And within the next few years, 100 billion, he said?
100 billion within the next 5 years. So it was a huge number at that current rate of growth. But you think about it, what he's really talking about is how many of those stupid little connector things do you have that plug into something, and how many of you actually gone out to buy like multiple USB port chargers because you have too many of those silly little dongles. Touch one when it's charging. They are wasting heat. That's them trying to step it down to a level that these devices will accept.
Right. So we've got these really small devices. Why power them with massive amounts of energy when they only need small voltages?
Exactly.
Yeah, there's just waste everywhere. So now we're talking about decarbonization. We're talking about creating energy at the edge of the grid in our homes with PV. It's like, hey, let's make sure we're doing it the right way so we're not
creating the right type of energy. Yeah.
So, okay, number one.
Here we go.
I think this is Jonas, right?
Pools make fantastic batteries.
This was another excellent quote. Basically, what he's talking about is this is Michael Intieri of Sundrum from a couple episodes back, episode 31. But pools are filled with water. Water itself takes a tremendous amount of energy to heat or cool. You lose a tremendous amount of energy to cool it, but they will accept a huge amount of heat. And it's actually a lot of energy to just raise it a single degree. If you have a 15,000 gallon pool, it takes a tremendous amount of energy to heat that just a single degree. And so if you want it multiple degrees, it's even more. But you can actually take that, imagine a system where you could take the heat out of your house and put it into the pool, and it's stored there as a battery.
Yeah.
And then at night when it's a little chilly, you let the water circulate around again, and you take that heat back out of the pool. I mean, it's a lovely, beautiful system.
It truly is a really intelligent design.
Yeah. So that's number one. Really love that quote. Thank you, Michael. We also had a bonus round, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
You want to do that?
Absolutely.
I'll do yours if you want. This is hilarious. So Josh said, "There is no form of policy-driven cronyism that can scale back solar at this stage." That was your quote for the year.
That was in a moment of eureka in
a
chess game with my buddy Lloyd.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Wait, write that down, you know." And that was that's kind of how I felt at that given moment.
Well, what's the context? You really think so? I mean, it sounds like somebody heard you, and they are literally taking aim at that quote right now.
I think it's tough. I think you're running uphill if you're trying to fight against solar right now.
Oh, absolutely.
It's coming.
But they're still trying.
Solar.
I don't know. Well, we'll see how it goes. But and then Jason had a really cool one. And I remember this. It was awesome. Tesla made an autonomous car that you cannot drive autonomously yet. The auto industry built a car that just happens to be electric, and that was when we were understanding the difference between we were out doing the EV tour basically.
We were out there in Northern California renting a bunch of electric vehicles. If you haven't heard that show, go back there. I think it's 17. I'm not sure. 17 or 19, one of those. But it was just an eye-opening moment for me, driving both of all the Tesla and the Bolt and everything in rapid succession, because they're very different animals.
Totally different types of
very
cars.
Different animals. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know I think that was us kind of going, geez, something just feels weird. I remember thinking, I want to like the Tesla more. Why don't I like it more? I kind of like the Bolt in a way.
It's comfortable and familiar.
It felt like a car.
Yeah, it felt like a car.
And Tesla was like, what am I driving? And what's with this regenerative braking thing? And all this major kind of like display of cars zooming back and forth. And I'm like, I'm seeing too much stuff here. I just want to drive.
Yeah, that was the information overload that we talked about. It was a mess.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So
well,
those are our quotes for the year. What do you think?
I think that's a lot of good stuff. I got a lot of content in there.
Excellent.
So much good stuff.
All right. Well, we don't really have a time to go into future focus too much, but going over this article, what do you guys think is the one thing you want to see the most out of 2018?
Great question.
Yeah, I mean, there is an article here, greentechmedia.com. They talk about 10 predictions for rooftop solar and storage in 2018. You can check that out if you get a chance and you want to learn about what people are seeing. You know, these good resource, Green Tech Media.
Yeah, these great good guys.
I mean, what do I want to see? I want to see more solar put in. I want to see solar put in a meaningful way. I want to see it put in it not creating inefficiencies and losses unnecessarily with the I want to see the hybridization of the grid realized, you know.
Yeah.
I want to see decarbonization up and running.
Mine's pretty easy.
That's a big one.
Yeah, mine's pretty easy. The number 6 here, smart home energy monitoring systems will continue to fail. I've been playing with my SMAPI. I was able to install it myself, but you may not be able to. But smart home stuff is still really difficult to integrate together. I mean, nobody talks together, and I want that to improve. So let's take aim at that.
And they also mentioned the cost of batteries actually plateauing, right? Which is, I think, interesting. There was I forget what number that is there in that article, but that's one that we got to be aware of. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
Hey everybody, this has been the Solar Coaster. We are a renewable energy themed talk show right here in lovely Maui County. Thank you so much for listening in. This is the last show of 2017, gentlemen.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Ha'ole makahiki ho.
Thank you, Jonah.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, folks.
Aloha.